Hello everyone, Seraphin here. Welcome back for more Mega Man X. And today we're gonna take a quick detour. Actually, we have something we need now to go back and obtain the heart container from Chill Penguin's level. So we're gonna go do that real quick. There are a couple of examples in every X game, really, but this one's no exception to that, where it's not actually possible to go through and get all the upgrades your first time through every single level. Sometimes you'll have to come back and with something else that you didn't already have to get what you need from there. And Chill Penguins is one of those times. There is a weapon that we did not have the first time we were here that we required to obtain the heart container, but now we have it. So we're gonna go get it now. At any rate, there's a couple of even if you perfectly planned out a route where you had everything you needed, I don't think you could avoid backtracking at least once. Not to my knowledge. If someone knows of a way to do it without having to backtrack and revisit levels, let me know. That'd be cool. I'd be interested. But I know for a fact that this one it can't be done because you require the dash boot upgrade to obtain a lot of other upgrades, and you have to go here first to get that. And when you come here the first time to get the dash upgrade, you don't have the thing you need to get the heart container, so you can't get that. So no matter what you're doing, you're visiting Chill Penguin's level at least more than once to get the upgrades from here. At any rate, moving on. So I was talking a little bit about how X works and how he's spawned an entire generation of other robots built from him and all that kind of deal. And you may be wondering, well, that's what Dr. Light's, I guess, swan song creation was X before he died. What happened to Dr. Wily? Because Dr. Wily was also a very talented roboticist and was Dr. Light's rival, so to speak. He was also evil, obviously. But he's no longer around either. Dr. Wily has since passed on, just like his rival Dr. Light. What happened to him? Well, not much of anything, really, except it's kind of a plot spoiler thing, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But needless to say, Dr. Wily didn't leave much behind. Not a whole lot, anyway. Sigma, who you heard about in the intro level, Zero mentioned finding Sigma's fortress, and Sigma is the final boss of the X games, the X series, because Dr. Wily's not around anymore. And Sigma actually is himself a Reploid. Sigma was one of the first Reploids actually created from X's template, and he was created by Dr. Kane, who found X in the first place. Here's the heart container. We needed the fire wave to break these bunker things open, because we actually can't get the right armor up here to break these ones on top of here, and the buster doesn't do it, so we had to use the fire wave. That's why I had to come back here. But now that we've got it, we can leave. Because we've already completed the stage, we can just escape, and we can move on to a different stage. So Sigma was Dr. Kane's first creation, I believe, that was created from X's template. We're going to go to Sting Chameleon next, because he has the last capsule upgrade we want. And Sigma was very, very, very highly advanced as a robot. So not only was he created from X's template, so he's capable of thinking and making his own decisions, but he was created with very, very high specifications for a robot. Like, his processing power was astronomically high. He's incredibly powerful. He's very physically imposing, too. He's massive. But he was basically built with as advanced of a robot brain as was possible at the time. And Dr. Kane himself is obviously a roboticist. So he built Sigma, and Sigma for a long time was the pinnacle of robot engineering. He had all of X's capabilities as far as his ability to think and process and make decisions and that stuff, but he was also far more physically advanced than X. And initially, Sigma was the leader. Well, Dr. Kane effectively founded the Maverick Hunters. So you hear talking about Mavericks. Mavericks are Reploids that have gone rogue, so to speak. They've either their programming went whack, or they've just decided that they're going to be evil because they can freely decide that now. So Mavericks are effectively rogue Reploids. And what happened was, these rogue Reploids were responsible for a lot of destruction and just bad stuff. So Dr. Kane created Sigma to be this pinnacle of robot Reploid engineering that could combat the Mavericks. So Sigma was the first Maverick Hunter, so to speak, and he was also the leader of them because he's obviously the most powerful one. So that's how Sigma started out. He was initially a good guy, and he was this pinnacle of, this paragon, so to speak, of Reploid virtue. And he was an incredibly imposing figure, very talented commander and tactician, very powerful in his own right. He actually has a freaking lightsaber, because why not? At any rate, something happened, and Sigma actually turned Maverick himself, which obviously is bad news bears, because you have the most advanced robot in existence suddenly is a rogue Maverick Reploid. And that's where X comes in. So X was regarded as, like, you know, he's this ancient robot. He's from a time past, and he's not that important. He's not even that powerful, yada yada. Also, this last capsule contains body armor, which will reduce damage dealt to us by 50%, which is awesome. We very much need that, by the way. And also makes X look pretty cool. So anyway, X was basically brought up to combat Sigma because, well, you have the most advanced Reploid in existence now is out rogue and causing death and destruction and evil and all that crap. So X is himself a Maverick Hunter, but also so is Zero. Zero is actually a much more capable Maverick Hunter than X because Zero is more adequately designed for battle, I think, than X. I mean, X is no slouch, obviously, as you can see here. He's able of handling himself, but the thing with X, and this develops, his character develops quite a bit as we progress through the X series. X is not designed for combat, nor does he enjoy it. He actually prefers not to fight when given the option, but given that he's fighting in every single game, obviously he never has a choice in that regard. So Zero, however, does not care. Zero is a combat robot through and through. He has no qualms whatsoever about going to town and beating the crap out of people. And Zero actually initially was not initially himself was a Maverick. So really what happened was Sigma and Zero switched places. Initially Zero was a Maverick and initially Sigma was a good guy. Now it's the opposite. But as I made a distinction last time, Zero himself is not a Reploid. Zero was not built from X's template. He's just another robot. And I'm not going to spoil his origins at all because there's a lot to go into with that. I'll just leave it there. But needless to say, if somebody refers to Zero as a Reploid, they are mistaken. He is not a Reploid. But anyway, so what's going on in this story is Sigma went rogue, and now he's a Maverick, and he brought all these other Reploids under his heel. And they are also now Mavericks. And those are the guys that we're fighting right now. The 8 robot bosses are all Mavericks. And Sigma is going to be the end boss of this game, as he is in every X game, to my knowledge. And the thing with Sigma is, because he's a robot and not a person, like Dr. Wily was, it makes a little bit more sense how he keeps coming back as a boss from installment to installment, because whenever you defeat Sigma, like, whenever you defeat his body, he survives, because he just transplants his consciousness into another robot body. He swaps from one body to the other, that kind of deal. So he really effectively can't be killed, because every time you blow him up, some part of him survives, and he just transplants his consciousness into another robot, yada yada yada, that kind of deal. So it makes a little bit more sense that Sigma keeps coming back, and it makes a lot less sense to me that Dr. Wily keeps escaping from prison every time. Anyway, so here we have Sting Chameleon. He's one of the more challenging bosses, in my opinion, especially if you don't have the armor or the Buster upgrade. As you can see, even from a fully charged pink shot, he's only taking 2 damage. That's going to be the norm from now on. Most bosses don't take more than that from a fully charged X-Buster shot. The other thing, too, is he's doing this crazy thing where he swings from the ceiling covered in spikes. Don't quote me on this. I believe the spikes on the ceiling there will actually instantly kill you if you jump too high. I don't know that that's the case. I'm not really willing to test it out because I don't want to die. But at any rate, when he swings from the ceiling on his tongue like that, he's flinging the spikes off the ceiling and dropping them on you. And when they're raining down on you like that, it's a completely random pattern. There is no rhyme or reason to them. And you just kind of have to do your best to avoid them, like this right here. Like, I can't tell where they're going to come down, and they're really hard to dodge, so. And then you'll see he'll blend in with the background, because he's a chameleon, right? When he's doing that, when he's blended in with the background, he's actually invulnerable. You cannot hurt him. You can move through him, I think, but when he's in range of you, he'll like decloak, quote-unquote, and then just hurt you with something. He has 2 basic patterns that he does when he cloaks like that. Either he'll retreat into a corner, and he'll shoot the 3 little... that little thing right there, he'll shoot 3 little shots from his tail. That is the Chameleon Sting. If he doesn't do that, he'll slowly creep toward you while he's camouflaged, like right here. See, he's kind of, you can see him a little bit in the background, the wavy lines kind of deal. When he's doing that, he slowly creeps towards you until he gets to the other side of the map of the room here. And when he reaches the other side, he'll decloak and he'll either fling Chameleon Sting at you, or he'll swing from the ceiling and drop spikes on you. But if you get directly on the same horizontal plane as him while he's camouflaged and creeping towards you, he'll decamouflage really quick and then fling his tongue at you. Because Chameleon tongue, right? Watch, right here. There you go, see? And then he'll retreat into doing his spike swinging animation deal. So he's entirely predictable, but he takes a while to kill, and if you don't have the body armor, what happens is it becomes a battle of attrition, because the spikes from the ceiling just end up killing you in the process. So if I did not have the body armor upgrade, he would be substantially more difficult. And even while he's transitioning, by the way, from being camouflaged to not, he's also invulnerable. But there we go, that's him down. And we also have all of the armor upgrades now, so that's nice. This episode went a little quick, so I think we'll progress into another one just for kicks and giggles here, I think. We don't really have any backtracking to do. There is a heart container in this chapter, but we can't get it yet. So from Sting Chameleon, we obtain the Chameleon Sting, which makes him a very nice, appealing shade of green. And then it shoots a blast in 3 different directions, just like out of his tail. It's pretty situationally useful. The charged version of it, however, is much better, but we'll talk about that later. So we're only 12 minutes in. We'll go to another fight. Maybe I'll just stop halfway through or something. But anyway, let's move on to Spark Mandrill. Spark Mandrill is probably my least favorite Maverick in this game. He's really tough. He's big, he hurts a lot, he's pretty quick, and he's just a pain to deal with. So here's another example of the environment being altered as a result of what we fought. You'll see that the crashed remnants of that airship we fought Storm Eagle on are down here, because this is where it crash landed, was on Spark Mandrill's place. And you can see that little tube up there is broken and cracked as a result of the airship crashing here. All these glass tubes that you see on the floor and the ceiling, if we had gone here before fighting Storm Eagle, then those tubes would actually contain these little like electrical sparks kind of deal, and they'd be shooting across the floor. And if they hit you, they hurt you, and they're a pain to deal with. So by coming here after Storm Eagle, we're avoiding that and not having to deal with it, which is nice because they're a pain, and I don't like it. So I highly encourage coming here before or coming here after Storm Eagle. That way, it's a little bit of an easier time. You're not dealing with as much garbage. And then now the lights go out, and we have these things that fly across the screen at us and try to knock us off the platforms and into pits, which is not any fun. It's not that difficult, it's just annoying. They get worse later on. That's not the last we're going to see of those things. So at any rate, we were talking a little bit about... What was I talking about? I don't remember anymore. Anyway, we're going to go to a mini-boss. There's a couple of these in this game. This is one of them. This one's not terribly difficult. He's a little bit annoying, but... He fires this sticky goo out of himself here because he's contained in it, and it sticks you to the floor, and it's annoying. And then he'll drop down on top of you some of the time. He's not all that difficult, honestly, but I just think he's annoying as all. Normally he'd be shooting electrical bolts out of that little cannon below him, but I think also as a result of beating Storm Eagle, he's also a bit weaker now. I don't know what the mechanics behind that are. I don't actually know. Maybe that's the case. But he's, again, not terribly difficult. Just gotta keep shooting at him. Now, he doesn't have a weakness per se, but there is a weapon that makes mincemeat of him if you use it, and that is the Storm Tornado. If we charge that up, I could kill him in 3 hits. But that's alright, he's not hard anyway, so there's that down. Maybe I'll show you that some other time. At any rate, I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Sigma being a bad guy and Zero not being a bad guy. So they kind of traded places, and Sigma is the main boss of all the Mega Man X games. And he has various different Mavericks that are under his command between one game to the other, obviously, just like Dr. Wily had 8 different Robot Masters every game. The difference being the original 8, or 6 actually, the original Mega Man game only had 6 Robot Masters. Those original 6 Robot Masters in Mega Man 1 were actually created by Dr. Light, and they were all created as, like, utility robots, right? They all had their own designated purpose. So, like, Fireman was responsible for, like, I think he worked at a foundry or some nonsense, and he was, like, you know, he worked on repurposing old salvage and stuff. Iceman was, like, a polar robot explorer, that kind of a deal. Bomb Man was designed for, like, you know, I guess urban clearing of areas and that kind of a deal, construction kind of a thing. Guts Man was like a... This is the heart tank up here, by the way. It's not hard to get to. Assuming you jump right, which I'm not. There we go. Guts Man was like a construction worker. He's really strong and can pick up and move stuff. That, you know, so they were all designed for a certain purpose, but then Wily reprogrammed them and made them bad. That is kind of a similar case in the X games as well. All of the Maverick Reploids that we're fighting all started out as regular Reploids that had a certain purpose, but then they were corrupted by Sigma and made into Mavericks. It is not very well explained how he's corrupting them or why they're suddenly changing sides. It could be argued that Sigma's a very convincing guy, I guess, but they don't bother to explain any of that in this game, and they certainly don't for a while. Later on they will, but I don't want to spoil it here because it's a pretty major plot point for later on in the series, but there is a reason behind it. That's all you need to know. I'll talk about more about it later. Anyway, we're going to get into Spark Mandrill here now. And as I mentioned, he's a big pain in my butt. I'm not a fan of this guy whatsoever. But that's alright. We'll try to deal with him without... He's got a crazy light show going on. He's very big, very powerful, and very... Oh, come on. He always does that. He dodges my initial shot, which I'm really annoyed by. And he'll jump across them. He'll fly across the map with his fist like that, and it's really hard to stop him when he does that. Supposedly, if you shoot him while he's punching, you can stun him out of it, but I can't seem to pull it off. And he hits like an absolute truck. And then he has the sparks that he shoots off the wall and all that fun jazz. And he's jumping around like an idiot because he's a monkey, quote-unquote. He's a mandrill, which I honestly didn't know what those were when I was a kid. I'm like, what the crap is a mandrill? It's like a big ape kind of a deal. And he's going to kill me. Nope. Unless like, oh, barely. Look at that. Yeah, he's a pain. He's an absolute pain. I do not have a lock on how to fight him yet. I've been playing this for ages and I still have no idea. He's much easier with his weakness, by the way. His weakness is Shotgun Ice, which I have, but I didn't want to use. Because if you use the Shotgun Ice against him, it makes him completely trivial and pointless. Like, you shoot at him once, it does a ton of damage to him, and then he gets frozen solid. And then he breaks out, and then you shoot him again, and he freezes solid again. And then he breaks out, and you shoot him, and he freezes solid, and then he breaks out, and he doesn't move. You can stun lock him that way. And it just kills him in like 7 or 8 shots. It's utterly stupid. Turns the hardest boss, in my opinion, in the game into the easiest one. But anyway, we got the Electric Spark, nothing special. It shoots little slow-moving sparks out, and when they hit walls, they spread and crawl up the walls like what his did when he fought us. So, anyway, we'll talk more about the story of the game. I'm sorry I'm not having a lot of time to talk about them. These are pretty short episodes, and I have more stuff to talk about besides that. So, anyway, we'll try to get more into that next episode. This one's a little bit longer, so thank you all very much for joining me up to this point. I do appreciate it. I will see you in the next episode. Until that time, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.